Alright guys, and now we are back with a showdown between the Empire, who shall be led by KARL FRANZ, and the Greenskins, who are going to be helmed by the Baconator atop his mighty hog. On top of that, it looks like there's going to be a couple groups of the Goblin Wolf Rider Chariots, or Goblin Wolf Chariots as they're actually called, including the Tief Robbers here in the middle. So we're going to see if the Greenskins can rob some Man Tief over here. Definitely some pretty good targets with the Flagellants and the guns in the back, but it just kind of occurred to me, in Game 3, if they do release Chaos Demons, wouldn't it be really funny if we had the Tief Rodders and it was actually like, let's say like a Nurgle Chariot, right? So it's being pulled by like some slugs or like Beasts of Nurgle, and it's like super slow, but maybe does more damage. And imagine if it was being like rode by like Nurglings or something. I think that'd be really funny. Just kind of like a spontaneous idea I had over the top, off the top of my head there I wanted to share with you guys. So as far as my army goes, we do have two groups of the Reiksguard on the flanks, and you don't really have to respect Greenskin Heavy Cav too much. Orc Warboy Biggins, yes, are anti-large and they're armor piercing, but their combat stats are just so pitiful and they're relatively squishy with low armor that you can safely pick things like Reiksguard, and you don't have to really respect the anti-large of the enemy Bacon Cav, but you do have to respect Nasty Skulkers. That's really kind of the natural anti-Cav unit for the Greenskins. But Reiksguard, pretty good at charging down Savage Orcs and lightly armored troops, and as you can see, my opponent has a ton of that. He has a ton of Savage Orc Biggins, which, again, if I get caught in sustained combat here, it could be a little bit ugly, but Savage Orcs across the board with, I think, some Black Orcs in the middle. No, it's actually just going to be all Savage Orcs, so bringing Greatswords definitely would have been very good here, but alas, I did not, so it's going to be pretty hot and heavy for sure. So Zentler's Reiksguard here, another group on the far side. We do also have the Templar of Luminarch, so deciding to kind of bring something a little bit wild to entertain you guys. Now, if you guys are going into a tournament against a good Greenskin player, I would not bring this. Do not bring the Temple of Luminarch in a very competitive vacuum environment, but on ladder, it's going to be fine. So it's pretty good at sniping Greenskin characters, and it's a bit of an all-in tactic, right? If you're playing it against an opponent who knows what they're doing, you could just hide their Lord. It's going to be a little bit tricky, but, it's, I mean, at the very least, it's going to kind of force the opponent to keep their Lord back. So there is some kind of punishing element to it. So Temple of Luminarch going to be trying to snipe characters, and it does have a free net of Amnitok. So here we're able to drop a net right on top of the Tief Robbers here, so we could potentially kill them with KARL and his Reiksguard. For the main line, it's going to be Spearmen with shields, just going for the high melee defense and trying to get my value elsewhere. In the center, we have Flagellants. So I was like, okay, I want to hold the center line. So we're going to be trying these guys out, and I don't know how that's going to go for Savage Orcs. It's going to be pretty brutal. They do have, I think, higher melee attack and decent weapon strength, but 10 melee defense definitely is pretty rough. In the back, we're going with Free Company Militia across the board and the Sterling's Revenge. We have a Lifecaster and Spearmen in the back. So trying out some new stuff. There's a couple different builds I use against Greenskins. There's actually one I like quite a bit, which is a 3 or 4 Greatswords with a Warrior Priest, and then you bring a healing, and from there you can actually really overwhelm Greenskin front lines, especially if they go with Savage Orcs. But this time we're going to be trying this out and seeing if this Temple of Luminar can do its job. For my opponent, Tief Robbers, whole front line of Savage Orcs in the front. He's got Warlords Boys, a ton of Archers, so Goblin Archers and the Rustiers here in the back. Pretty good stuff. Nasty Skulkers to protect them. He does also have some Night Goblins who are going to be protecting Wurzog, so maybe he was going to be like trying to bait me to come snipe Wurzog with KARL FRANZ up in the sky, but yeah, with some Goblins back there, it could be a little bit trickier. So on that note, guys, let's get the show on the road and see how it goes. So initially, we're going to be swooping in, going after the Tief Robbers, and these poor little lads are going to be taking a full charge. They're 5 leadership and just taking a fat, angry, chubby charge here from the Reiksguard. And Reiksguard, I mean, what's the armor on the Goblin Wolf Chariots? It's actually 45, so that's going to do a lot of damage. My opponent does respond with a Vindictive Glare. I think it was trying to snipe out KARL FRANZ, but it did end up hitting one of the Reiksguard since he was on the ground, so I got pretty lucky in that respect. Over here, same thing's going down. The Reiksguard do charge in, attack the Goblin Wolf Chariots. But it looks like we're able to not kill any models, but do some pretty good HP damage. And in the meantime, the Temple of Luminarch is going to be sniping out the Goblin Shaman. We might be able to kill him, 1500 HP. One more shot. I don't think it'll kill him because the max weapon damage is 1462, so I think it'll end up getting him really low and maybe shattering him. That would be ideal, getting rid of the sniping. In the meantime, my opponent is going to be keeping the Baconator back, probably just coming in to drop buffs and be really, really careful there. And the last shot's going in, and it's going to be blasting this Goblin, and it hits him, but it does not finish him off. So 411, he's going to be shattering right there, so he's basically finished off. So pretty good value in that respect. Getting rid of one of the more annoying Greenskin characters that's just so brutal with sniping. So another charge is going to be coming in here on the flanks, but I have to be careful. I actually don't think I noticed these guys right now, and I thought they were a little bit higher and tighter in here, but he does get the smoke bomb. And I try and pull back, but now I'm going to be taking some substantial casualties. I do the same thing on the other side, and these ones I do get back a little bit quicker, so I don't get caught in the smoke bomb, I don't think, but man, it looked like I was out of range because of the center mass boot, but it looks like he did catch me, so very, very well played to my opponent. I also accidentally mismicroed the Free Company Militia. I moved them up to attack some of these Savage Orcs over here, but it's going to be pretty rough losing those guys, but for the most part, it's not the end of the world. Now, the Temple of Luminarch here in the center is going to be trying to fall back, but the Goblins and the Wolf Chariots swarming pretty hard, so the Flagellants and other troops are going to be charging in here. Savage Orcs coming in, and KARL FRANZ is going to be coming in with the Steel Galmaros to just lend some effort here. And Savage Orcs are a relatively low leadership unit, as well as the Goblins, although these are probably the unbreakable ones, so I want to do everything I can to kind of pop those guys. In the back, Wurzog is just going to be sniping and using the wand, being very, very careful, staying out of range of the Temple Templar Luminarch. Free Company Militia shooting downtown into some of the Savage Orcs, but this flank is buckling pretty bad. The Spearmen here are getting beaten on and crumped by these Orcs, and the Free Company Militia, who overextended, also in a little bit of trouble, but we're getting some good damage from the Sterling's Revenge. But this is a pretty big, kind of tall order right here. I'm playing so many Savage Orcs, just a lot of pressure to stop. It's going to be pretty crazy for sure. Over here, we had some Spearmen fighting Savage Orcs as well, and the Reichsguard are going to be charging in to help out, and they should be able to win this 2v1 engagement. Savage Orcs are getting a little bit beat up at this point, but the battle's pretty pitched in the front line. Balance of power actually a little bit just dead even, maybe a little bit in my favor. I would say I was able to get some really good trades initially on the Goblin Wolf Chariots and some decent sniping against the Goblin Shaman, but the initial engagement has certainly gone very well for my opponent. But the one thing I'd like to comment on is I'm very impressed with the Flagellants. They have 36 kills. They're actually seem to be out trading with the Savage Orcs. Granted, there was some aid from KARL FRANZ, but they're really holding up this front line. It almost makes me think that if you want to go with like a big gun line against Greenskins, maybe mix in more Flagellants just to hold and allow you to get some value. Anyways, the Reichsguard over here making the ultimate sacrifice, taking a bit of a beating to allow my Free Company to fall back. As such, I'm getting some pretty good crossfire, so you can see here that the Free Company Militia doing some work against the Savage Orc Biggins here, these ones as well, shooting in there and getting some work. So the Savage Orcs are very tattered, but the Goblin Wolf Chariot's actually doing quite a bit of work. They're going to be reaving into the back line, causing some serious problems. But so far, the battle's pretty close. Over here on the flanks, I was able to get a good trade. I'm going to be pulling back now, so the Spearmen are falling back, the Reichsguard are going to be falling back as well. Can't really take that fight, and at this point I realized with the archer fire coming in, overlapping on top of KARL FRANZ, who was doing some good work in the front line, but I didn't want to fly back here and chase Warzog because he would simply hit me with FG of the Git, pin me down, and I would be a little bit trapped up. But I'm going to be falling back and trying to pull back all my guns and get a little bit of a safer engagement. Now there's no good target, so very well played my opponent, keeping Warzog out of the danger zone, but still getting close enough to cast spells and then falling back whenever my Templar is occupied. So he's done a really good job mitigating that big investment I put into my army here. But we're going to be using the Templar as a bit of a chariot, and actually has 39 kills, which is pretty ludicrous. But some Savage Orcs coming back here, and KARL FRANZ, this is kind of his element. When the enemy army is like pulled apart like this, KARL FRANZ is going to be jumping in, tearing apart these Savage Orcs with his Reichsguard and these Spearmen, and he's probably going to be able to tear out these guys. But more importantly, it's buying time for my Free Company Militia to reform ranks. I do get a net of Amnichok right here on the Savage Orcs, and these guys are just going to be getting shot to pieces by 3 groups of these Free Company. The Jade Wizard as well as the Templar will be going in as a chariot as well. He's trying to slow their roll, but the Valiant Spearmen are holding in, so these are the last Spearmen. They might be able to hold here, but I still think 46 Savage Orcs and 55 Goblins should win that. Over here on the flanks, these Free Company Militia, which are just going to be a standard variant, are going to be fighting these Goblins, and it looks like they are going to be breaking just the sheer numbers of them. These Reichsguard do get a decent little freebie here on the Thief Robbers, might be able to actually break those guys. Looks like my opponent may have forgotten about those guys for a quick moment, just like my Free Company earlier. But we're having to fall back. The Greenskins are pressuring in. Balance of power is still pretty even. He does have a slight advantage. I think a couple sloppy plays in the beginning definitely kind of gave me a bit of a setback there, but certainly we can definitely pick apart these Greenskins. So right here, KARL FRANZ is going to be jumping in, getting some terror routes, trying to juke out those missile attacks, and it looks like we do, which is very, very good because those hit very hard. But we have Nasty Skulkers coming back here. We have Savage Orcs, just all kinds of pressure coming in. These Nasty Skulkers might be able to terror out them, actually. They're Goblins. They're very low leadership, and we do terror out them, which is going to open up a ton of gunfire here from the Free Company Militia. And at this point, I decided to pretty much stand my ground. So these Free Company are going to be fighting against the Savage Orcs with the help of the Jade Wizard, and KARL FRANZ, I believe, is going to be diving these ones. So I was like, okay, maybe these two plus the Jade Wizard can win this. KARL FRANZ is going to peel off these Savage Orcs here. And I do have some Spearmen coming back as well. So very, very close battle, but the Greenskin missile line is advancing slowly. Goblin Archers up here. We got the Rusty Airs coming in, and that's really going to change the dynamic because so far it's been me just fighting against some of these rallying troops here. And this is what I love about Empire. Like all the games, for some reason, regardless of like the skill of your opponent, it just seems to be so like close and gritty. Obviously, my opponent I'm playing right now is a super good player. So right here you can see the Savage Orcs are going to be pushing into the Free Company Militia, but these are no mere Free Company Militia. These are the Sterling's Revenge, and these guys are fighting tooth and nail. A really nice missile attack on the Jade Wizard, and the Templar Luminarch is just riding dirty, and we should be able to break those Savage Orcs. So we do break that back line, and now we're securing a bit of a position here. We still have these Free Company right here, and these one over here as well with 34 models, and these Spearmen are probably going to get pushed off the battlefield. But the archers are going to be really tough. They have really good damage against the light armor of the Free Company Militia. They only have 25 base. They're basically just wearing like leather and rags. So they're definitely not the tankiest of troops. And I have this big investment here, right? I think it costs like, what, 1,500 gold. It's very, very expensive. And it's not really doing anything. I was able to kill a Goblin Shaman, but basically I just kind of, based on how my opponent's playing and doing a very good job, I actually did get one shot on Warzog when he got a little bit danger close, but he's done a very good job. And against the Greenskins, I don't think it's probably worth it to bring the Temple off Luminarch. I mean, imagine if I had 1,500 gold worth of extra infantry or cav units, or maybe a group of Demogryph Knights, for example. This could be a very, very different situation I've been in. So the Temple off Luminarch is going to be riding into the back, going up against the Savage Orcs right here. Some missile attacks going against the Jade Wizard. Beautiful stuff from my opponent, getting some very, very nice sniping on my lightly armored characters. Free Company Militia are going to be kind of rallying here, and the Temple off Luminarch is actually doing some work. It's like riding around like a chariot. What's its weapon strength in melee? Only 26. A little bit limp right there, but KARL FRANZ is going to be coming in to finish off the Goblin Wolf Chariot. and it looks like we are able to get that guy down, and some of these Savage Orcs are going to be routing into the sunset. In the meantime, Temple of Luminarch is going to be getting slapped with an Earthblood. I was able to get KARL FRANZ as well as the Jade Wizard, I think. In my last Free Company Militia are holding. The Bounce Fire creeps back towards the middle there. You can see I do get a Mass Terror out on those Greenskins. But yeah, these Archers just so much. Rusty Airs have 80 models. I wasn't able to get into the back line. He had such good Nasty Skulker play in the beginning with those Smoke Bombs that he really shut down my backline play. But we're trying to scrapping it back into the game here. KARL FRANZ jumping in here. I know we're pretty close to the edge of the map now that we've been falling back. And these Savage Orcs might be able to route off this direction, but it looks like my troops will, and his troops are actually going to route off this direction. So a little bit unfortunate there. But the Jade Wizard is able to fend those guys off. Free Companies here. I do have the Temple of Luminarch with some ample ammunition. But of course, Warzog is going to be staying in the distance, because if Warzog were to die, the leadership penalty on the rest of these, close to breaking units would probably be in a really, really bad situation. So anyways, going to be charging in with Karl and the missile units. Temple of Luminarch is going to be shooting in at the Rusty Airs, which certainly isn't the best situation. And KARL FRANZ could probably actually get a Mass Terror out right here on these guys, but a very good Smoke Bomb. But unfortunately for him, I do get back up in the skies there as I was trying to retreat. But Karl's going to be flying with 22 speed right now, so a little bit of a slow-mo drive-by right there. And the Goblin Wolf Chariots of the Gods going to be coming into the back line on top of the spears, causing some serious problems. But KARL FRANZ, the Emperor, going to be jumping in with Golmaraz, and if he's going to be going out, he's going to be going out with a bang right here. So he's coming in with the Steel Chair, going to be clubbing some of these Goblins, and I do get the Mass Terror out on these units here, but a missile attack coming in from those Nasty Skulkers, or from the Warzog in the Shadow Realm, and the Nasty Skulkers chasing me, plus there's just Withering Fire from Goblin Archers is probably going to be enough. The backline situation, Savage Orcs are chasing me down, the Temple of Luminarch's trying its best, and we do get another route there, but the bounce of power is so heavily in my opponent's favor. He has the Archers, the Baconator has those missile attacks, and that's probably going to be all she wrote as my army does waver. So I love playing the Empire. Like, they're such a cool faction. The games always just end up so close and so badass, but very well played to my opponent, Urban's Compass. Very solid player. His Nasty Skulker play with the Smoke Bombs is like exemplary. Like, that's how you do it. If anybody's going to be like carrying you with Dragon Princes, or let's say Reiksguard, Knights of the Blazing Sun, if you can catch them in the beginning with that, you're going to get some really good value and substantially shut down your opponent's strategy. So that was really good. Granted, we were almost able to claw our way back into the game, but really the Temple of Luminarch was just a busted investment, and also a little bit of sloppy micro, losing one group of Free Company Militia in the beginning, but we kind of counterbalanced that by having some good picks on the Goblin Wolf Chariots in the beginning, but even still, that was a big slip up. But yeah, the Temple of Luminarch, if I were to be in like a tournament environment, I would probably cut that, and yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think what I would mix in. Maybe mix in like 2 Great Swords. Yeah, probably cut like the Temple of Luminarch and get a couple Great Swords, because they'll just pound town the Savage Orcs pretty efficiently with their armor and their bonus versus infantry, and maybe just play a little bit more defensively with the Reiksguard. But even still, that would be the change I would probably make. Something along those lines. So very well played to my opponent, Urban's Compass. He played great. It was an awesome game. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this Empire vs. Greenskin match. And we will see you guys next time. Take care.